The knock came just after midnight. 3 slow taps. Patient. Certain. I had already signed the divorce papers. Already packed the last box. Already buried the man I used to be. When I opened the door, a stranger stood beneath the porch light, mid-30s, expensive coat, bloodshot eyes. His face carried the same exhaustion I had been wearing for weeks. "I think," he whispered, "we need to talk." I recognized him immediately, not because we'd ever met, because I'd spent nights staring at security footage of him walking into my house while I was supposedly working late. The man my wife believed she'd kept hidden. The man I'd silently watched destroy my marriage. I didn't ask his name. I simply stepped aside. He walked in. Neither of us spoke for several seconds. Then he looked around my half-empty living room and said something I never expected. She lied to both of us. Everything inside me became perfectly still. Not anger. Not relief. Something colder. Because I suddenly realized this story had never been about two men fighting over one woman. It had always been about surviving the same liar. Claire had become distant so gradually that most people would have called it normal marriage fatigue. Longer showers, her phone permanently face down. New perfume she claimed was just a sample. Tiny changes, almost invisible. But betrayal never arrives screaming. It whispers until silence becomes suspicious. One evening she kissed me goodbye without looking into my eyes. That tiny moment stayed with me longer than the kiss itself. People think love dies during arguments. They're wrong. Love dies when someone stops seeing you. I hired no detective. I accused no one. Instead, I became invisible. I changed my work schedule without telling her. Installed cameras disguised as smoke detectors. Downloaded copies of our phone bills. Every discovery answered one question while creating 5 more. An unknown number. Weekly hotel charges. Cash withdrawals. Lunches that somehow lasted 6 hours. Still, I said nothing. Silence forces guilty people to grow comfortable. Comfort makes them careless. The footage arrived first. Claire opened the front door at 2:14 p.m. A man entered. They laughed. They embraced. Then they disappeared upstairs. I watched the recording exactly once. No rewinding. No screaming. No broken television. Reality doesn't become less real because you replay it. The phone records confirmed months of secret conversations. Thousands of messages. Late-night calls. Vacation plans. My marriage had become background noise inside someone else's love story. Every morning I still made her coffee. Every evening I still asked how her day had been. She answered with practiced lies. I answered with practiced calm. The hardest part wasn't pretending. It was discovering how easily she believed her performance was working. Sometimes she'd apologize for being emotionally tired. Sometimes she'd hold my hand. The same hand that had collected evidence against her hours earlier. My heart wanted confrontation. My mind demanded patience. Emotion seeks relief. Truth requires discipline. So I waited. Not because I feared losing her, because I needed to understand exactly who she'd become. The final piece arrived unexpectedly. A courier delivered an envelope addressed to me. Inside was a photograph. Claire. The same man. A beach. Their arms wrapped around each other. On the back, only one sentence. She said she was already divorced. No signature. No explanation. Just that sentence. I stared at it for nearly an hour. Then I smiled. Not because it hurt less. Because everything finally made sense. She hadn't been living one lie. She'd been maintaining 2 completely different realities. One for me. One for him. That evening, I placed the photograph on our dining table. Beside it sat copies of hotel receipts, phone records, and printed screenshots. Claire walked inside carrying groceries. She stopped. Her breathing changed. "What's this?" I looked at her. Calmly. "I was hoping you'd tell me." The color drained from her face. She searched desperately for explanations. Editing memories. Manufacturing excuses. "I can explain." "I know," I replied. "But explanations only matter before the truth arrives." She collapsed into a chair, crying, begging, promising. Every word sounded rehearsed. As though she'd practiced apologies long before she'd needed them. I listened without interrupting. Then I quietly slid the divorce papers across the table. "I've already signed." For the first time since I'd known her, she had nothing left to say. I left without another word. No dramatic goodbye. No revenge speech. Just the sound of the front door closing behind me. She called hundreds of times. I answered none. Weeks passed. Then came the midnight knock. The other man sat across from me, holding a folder. "My name is Daniel," he finally said. "I thought she was leaving an abusive marriage." He laughed bitterly. I paid her rent, bought gifts, even loaned her money. He opened the folder. Bank transfers, messages, voice recordings. She'd been telling him I refused to sign divorce papers. At the same time, she'd been telling me she worked overtime whenever she visited him. Neither of us had been the exception. We had both been resources. He looked at me. "I figured you deserved the truth." I nodded. "So did you." We exchanged everything, not as rivals, as witnesses. That was the cruelest punishment Claire would ever face. Not losing one relationship. Losing the illusion that she'd controlled either of us. Months later, the house was sold. The wedding photos were gone. Her number no longer existed in my phone. Sometimes people ask whether I hate her. I don't. Hatred keeps people connected. Indifference severs the final thread. The greatest revenge wasn't exposing her. It wasn't the divorce. It wasn't watching every lie collapse beneath its own weight. It was refusing to let betrayal define the rest of my life. She spent years building two false worlds. Both collapsed in the same night. I lost a wife. She lost every version of herself she had invented. And when I think about that final knock on my door, I no longer remember the sound. Only the silence that followed. Because silence wasn't how I lost everything. It was how I finally took my life back.